Junio pressed his hand against the cold metal wall and tried not to think about how hungry he was. The small room they called a habitat module was barely larger than his bedroom back on Earth. White walls, a narrow bed, a desk with a broken communication panel, and a food dispenser that had stopped working 3 days ago. He had filed 7 maintenance requests. Nobody came. The Galactic Council station called Harmony's Edge was supposed to be humanity's gateway to the stars. When Junho received his assignment as Earth's first xenobiologist to work alongside alien species, he thought his life was beginning. Instead, he sat alone in a locked room waiting for clearance that might never come. Through the small window, he could see the vast darkness of space. Stars stretched endlessly in every direction. Somewhere out there was Earth, blue and green and full of people who would never believe what bureaucracy looked like across the galaxy. They had forms for everything. Forms to approve forms, forms to deny the approval of forms. Junho was a Deathworlder. That was the official classification. Humans came from a planet with heavy gravity, dangerous predators and diseases that would terrify most species in the Council. Earth was a nightmare world by galactic standards, and humans were the monsters who evolved to survive it. The Council wanted to make absolutely sure he was safe before letting him walk among the herbivore species that made up most of their civilization. The irony was not lost on him. Junho spent his whole life studying life forms, dreaming of peaceful contact with alien species. Now those aliens were terrified of him. His stomach growled again. The food dispenser in the corner had given him nothing but a thin gray paste for 2 weeks. It met basic nutritional requirements according to the manual, but human digestive systems needed more than that. He needed protein, fiber, variety. Instead, he got something that tasted like wet cardboard and left him constantly hungry. Yesterday, he tried to fix the dispenser himself. He managed to open the panel and look at the wiring inside, but everything was labeled in 3 languages he did not speak. He closed it back up before he broke something important. A sound came through the wall, a scraping noise like something heavy being dragged across metal. Junho stood up and walked over, pressing his ear against the cool surface. The scraping came again, followed by what might have been a grunt. Something big lived in the habitat next to his. According to the information packet they gave him, Section 7C housed species that required isolation for various reasons. Medical quarantine, political asylum, or in his case, pending security clearance. He was not alone in being locked away, but he might as well have been. The communication system only connected him to Hyan, another human who worked in the administration offices somewhere in the station's core. Hyan tried to help. She really did. But every time she submitted a request to speed up his clearance, it went to another committee, another review board, another species safety assessment panel. Humans were too new, too unknown, too potentially dangerous. Junho lay back on his bed and stared at the ceiling. White panels reflected the dim lighting. He counted them sometimes when he could not sleep. 48 panels in a grid pattern. He had memorized every scratch and discoloration on each one. The scraping sound came again, louder this time. Junho rolled off the bed and approached the wall. He knocked gently 3 times. The scraping stopped. Silence filled the room for several heartbeats. Then 3 heavy thuds answered him from the other side. Someone was there. Someone could hear him. Junho grabbed a spare stylus from his desk and tapped out a simple rhythm against the wall. Tap, 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 pause, tap, tap. A basic pattern anyone could recognize. The response came quickly. The same rhythm repeated back to him, but deeper, heavier. Whatever was over there had understood. For the first time in weeks, Junho smiled. He was not completely alone. The next morning brought no food from the dispenser. Junho pressed the button repeatedly, but nothing came out. He checked the panel again, hoping maybe he could fix it now that desperation sharpened his focus. Still nothing made sense. The wiring looked correct as far as he could tell. The power light was on. It just refused to give him food. He sent another maintenance request through the broken communication panel, not expecting an answer. Then he sat down and tried to ignore the aching emptiness in his stomach. His hands shook slightly when he held them up. Not good, he was a biologist. He knew the signs of malnutrition. A few more days of this and he would be in real trouble. The scraping sound started again around midday. Junho had been dozing on his bed trying to conserve energy. He jerked awake and listened. This time the sound was different. Not just scraping but grinding like something hard working through the metal wall itself. He approached slowly and placed his hand against the wall. Vibrations ran through the metal. Something on the other side was digging. Junho backed away, suddenly uncertain. What if whatever was over there was trying to break in? What if it was dangerous? But then he remembered the knock, the returned rhythm. Someone intelligent was on the other side. Someone who knew he was here. Hours passed. The grinding continued in short bursts, then long periods of silence. Junho imagined his neighbor working carefully, taking breaks, making sure not to be detected by station security. The dedication was impressive and slightly terrifying. Night cycle came. The lights in his habitat dimmed automatically to simulate Earth's day-night pattern. Junho lay in bed, stomach cramping with hunger, listening to the occasional grinding sound from the wall. He drifted in and out of sleep, dreams mixing with reality. A new sound woke him, a crack, then the soft patter of debris falling on metal. Junho's eyes snapped open. He stared at the wall. In the dim emergency lighting, he could see a small hole, maybe the size of his fist, broken through the white panels. Dust and small chunks of insulation littered the floor beneath it. Something moved in the darkness of the hole. Junho held his breath. Slowly, carefully, a large clawed hand emerged. The scales were dark green, almost black, and each finger ended in a curved talon. The hand held something wrapped in what looked like leaves. The package dropped through the hole and landed on Junho's floor with a soft thump. The hand withdrew. Silence returned. Junho approached the package like it might explode. He knelt down and carefully unwrapped the leaves. Inside was food, real food, chunks of cooked meat, some kind of purple fruit, and a sealed container of water. The smell made his mouth water instantly. A piece of paper fell from the wrapping. Written in shaky galactic common script were 4 words. Eat. You need strength. Junho looked at the hole in the wall, then back at the food. His stomach won the argument with his caution. He picked up a piece of meat and bit into it. The taste exploded across his tongue. Protein, fat, seasoning he could not identify but loved anyway. He ate slowly, savoring every bite, feeling strength return to his limbs. When he finished, Junho found a piece of paper and wrote a simple message back. Thank you, friend. He folded it and pushed it through the hole. A moment later, he heard it being picked up from the other side. A deep rumbling sound followed, something that might have been laughter or approval. Junho smiled and lay back on his bed, his stomach full for the first time in days. Somewhere beyond the wall, a predator had decided to help him. In a station full of prey species who feared him, he had found an unexpected ally. Tomorrow he would learn more about his mysterious neighbor. Tonight he would sleep. Tavon watched the security feed from his personal console and felt anger burning in his chest. The human in the next habitat had not received proper food in 5 days. 5 days. The young male was clearly weakening, moving slower each day, spending more time lying down. Yet every maintenance request disappeared into the bureaucratic void without response. Tavon knew exactly why. Fear. The station administrators were afraid of humans. They dragged their feet on every request, hoping the problem would somehow solve itself. Meanwhile, an intelligent being suffered from their cowardice. He turned away from the screen and looked at his own habitat, larger than the humans with proper equipment and regular food delivery. Tavon was a predator species too, but the Vrelians had been part of the council for 3,000 years. They were accepted even if some herbivores still flinched when he walked by. Humans had no such luxury. They were new, unknown, and therefore dangerous in the eyes of the prey species who ran the council. The human's name was Junho, according to the manifest. A xenobiologist who came to the station full of hope and scientific curiosity. Now he was trapped in a box, slowly starving because nobody wanted to deal with a deathworlder. Tavon made his decision. He stood up to his full height of 8 feet, his armored scales catching the light. If the council would not help Junho, then Tavon would. Protocol could burn in the void for all he cared. He examined the wall between their habitats. Standard station construction, reinforced metal with insulation and wiring, strong enough to handle minor impacts but not designed to stop a determined Vrelian. He would need to be careful, though. Break through too quickly and the security alarms would trigger. He needed to work slowly, quietly, during sleep cycles when fewer crew members monitored the cameras. That night, Tavon began digging. His claws were designed for tearing through desert rock on his homeworld. Station walls were much easier. He worked the metal carefully, peeling back layers bit by bit. The sound was unavoidable but hopefully quiet enough to pass as normal habitat noise. Every few minutes he stopped and listened, making sure no guards came to investigate. It took 3 nights of careful work. On the second night, the human knocked on the wall. 3 gentle taps. Taven stopped digging and knocked back. 3 heavy thuds that surely shook the wall on the other side. He heard a rhythm, tapped out in response, and found himself amused. The human was trying to communicate, clever. On the third night, Tavon broke through. The final layer of metal gave way and a small hole opened between their habitats. He could smell the human's space now. Recycled air, cleaning chemicals, and the faint scent of human sweat and stress. The human was awake. Taven heard breathing on the other side, quick and nervous. He withdrew to his food storage and selected items carefully. Humans were omnivores according to the database. They ate both meat and plants, needed variety in their diet. Taven picked cooked meat from his own meals, fruit that was safe for most species, and clean water. He wrapped everything in preservation leaves and added a note. His written galactic common was poor but functional. Eat, you need strength. Simple and direct. He pushed the package through the hole and waited. The sound of movement, then silence. Was the human afraid? Suspicious? Taven would be if strange food appeared in his wall. Then came the sounds of eating. Quick at first, then slower. The human was savoring the food. Good. Taven felt satisfaction deep in his chest. The kind of satisfaction that came from protecting someone weaker, someone who needed help. His people called it the pack instinct, though Tavon had no pack here on the station. Until now, perhaps, a piece of paper pushed through the hole. Taven picked it up and read the shaky handwriting. Thank you, friend. Something warm settled in his chest. Friend. Yes, he could accept that title. Over the next few days, a routine developed. Taven brought food 3 times a day. Junio left notes of thanks, then began asking questions. What is your name? What species are you? Why are you helping me? Taven answered simply. His name, Vrelian, because it was right. Junho's notes became longer, more detailed. He wrote about Earth, about oceans and forests and the strange diversity of his homeworld. He explained human customs, drew pictures of Earth animals, described the feeling of rain. Tavon found himself looking forward to these messages. His own life on the station was lonely. Security work meant long hours walking empty corridors, and most crew members avoided him when possible. Junho's friendship, however strange and new, filled a void he had not realized existed. One morning, Tavon decided to expand the hole. If they were going to be friends, they should at least see each other. He worked carefully with his tools, widening the opening until it was large enough for them to look through clearly. When he finished, he knelt down and peered through the hole. A face looked back at him. The human was smaller than expected, with dark hair and eyes that showed intelligence and curiosity rather than fear. Junio smiled, an expression that showed small flat teeth meant for grinding rather than tearing. Hello, Junho said in Galactic Common, his accent strange but understandable. Hello, Tavon rumbled back, his voice much deeper. You look healthier. Because of you. Junho moved closer to the hole. Can I ask you something? Why risk this? You could get in trouble for helping me. Tavon considered the question. I was quarantined once too, he said finally. When my people first joined the council, I was young, maybe your age. They kept me in a room for half a year while they decided if Vrelians were safe. I remember the hunger when the food was wrong. I remember the loneliness. I remember thinking that the great council everyone spoke of was just cowards hiding behind rules. Junho nodded slowly. How did you get through it? Someone helped me. A maintenance worker. A Palitian who did not care about rules. He brought me proper food and talked to me through the door. Taught me Galactic Common. When I finally got clearance, he was the first real friend I made in space. Tavon's voice softened. He died many years ago, old age. But I never forgot what he did. So when I heard you in there starving because of bureaucracy, I knew what I had to do. I'm glad you did, Junho said quietly. I was starting to think I made a mistake coming here. That maybe humans don't belong in space. You belong, Tavon said firmly. The prey species who run the council are afraid of anything with teeth. They look at you and me and see only predators. They do not understand that predators can be more than hunters. We protect, we think, we choose who to care about. He tapped a claw against the metal floor. You belong here as much as any of them. More, maybe, because you have courage they lack, Junho's smile returned. Thank you, Tavon. That means a lot. They talked for hours that day. Tavan learned about human history, about wars and peace, about how humans nearly destroyed themselves before learning to cooperate. Junho learned about Vrelian desert culture, about honor codes and pack bonds, about a society built on loyalty and strength. As sleep cycle approached, Junho yawned widely. Tavan noticed how the human's energy faded quickly, still recovering from days of poor nutrition. Rest, he said. I will bring food in the morning. Will you tell me more about your homeworld tomorrow? Junho asked. Yes. And you will tell me more about Earth's oceans. I still do not understand how you can have that much water. Junho laughed, a sound that made Tavon's scales rattle with pleasure. It was good to hear happiness from the other side of the wall. He settled into his own bed and closed his eyes, content in a way he had not felt for many years. Tomorrow would bring more stories, more food, more friendship. And perhaps, if they were very lucky, it would bring change to this station that desperately needed it. 2 weeks passed, and the hole in the wall became the center of both their worlds. Every morning, Tavon brought fresh food. Every evening, they talked until sleep claimed them. The friendship between human and Vrelian grew stronger each day. Junho discovered that Tavon had a dry sense of humor that caught him off guard. The big warrior would tell stories about clumsy prey species on the station with perfect timing, making Junho laugh until his sides hurt. In return, Junho shared videos from Earth on his datapad, holding it up to the hole so Tavon could watch. The Vrelian's favorite was footage of Earth's oceans. He watched the waves for hours, fascinated by that much water existing in one place. My world has water, Tavon explained one evening, but it hides underground. We dig for it. The idea of it just sitting there, covering most of your planet, seems like madness. Good madness or bad madness? Junho asked. Beautiful madness. Tavon's rumbling voice held something like wonder. Your planet is generous. Mine makes you fight for everything. Maybe that is why your people and my people understand each other. We both know how to survive difficult places. Junho thought about that. Earth was a death world by galactic standards, but it gave freely compared to the harsh desert world that created the Vrelians. Yet both species developed intelligence, culture, and compassion alongside their predatory instincts. Maybe that was the key. Not where you came from, but what you chose to do with your nature. One morning, Junho woke feeling strange. His head hurt and his body ached. He tried to stand, but dizziness forced him back onto the bed. Fever, his body temperature was rising, probably his immune system finally giving up after weeks of stress and poor nutrition. He managed to crawl to the hole in the wall. Tavon, he called weakly. I think I'm sick. The response came immediately. How sick? Fever, can't stand up properly. Silence for a moment. Then, move away from the wall. Junho dragged himself back to his bed. A tremendous crash echoed through the habitat as Tavon's full weight slammed into the wall. The metal groaned. Another crash and the wall buckled. A third hit and a section tore free, creating an opening large enough for the Vrelian to squeeze through. Tavon emerged into Junho's habitat, his massive form filling the small space. He moved quickly to the bed and placed a scaled hand on Junho's forehead. Very hot, he muttered. Human normal temperature? 37 degrees, Junho managed to say. Celsius. Tavon pulled out a medical scanner from his belt. Security officers carried basic medical equipment. The scanner beeped as it analyzed Junho's condition. 40 degrees. Your immune system is fighting something, probably from stress and malnutrition weakening your defenses. He looked around the habitat. I am staying here until you recover. You'll get in trouble, Junho protested weakly. I do not care. Tavon's voice was firm. In my culture, when you choose someone as pack, you do not abandon them. You are pack now, Junho. That means I protect you even from your own biology. For 2 days, Tavon stayed. He brought medicine from the medical bay during sleep cycles when fewer crew monitored the corridors. He kept Junho hydrated and fed. He adjusted the habitat temperature to help the fever break. When Junho had nightmares, thrashing and fevered sleep, Tavon's deep voice rumbled soothing sounds until the human calmed. During the lucid moments, they talked. Junho learned about Vrelian pack bonds, how they were chosen rather than born, how they lasted for life. Tavon learned about human families, about the bonds of friendship that could be as strong as blood. On my world, Tavon said, we have a saying. The desert shows you who you really are. It strips away everything false and leaves only truth. You cannot pretend to be brave when the sandstorm comes. You cannot pretend to be loyal when resources are scarce. He looked at Junho. This station is like a desert. It showed me you are worth protecting. It showed you that asking for help is not weakness. What did it show you about yourself? Junho asked. Tavon was quiet for a long moment. That I am tired of following rules that harm good people. That I would rather be punished for doing right than rewarded for doing nothing. On the third day, Junho's fever broke. He woke to find Tavon sleeping on the floor beside his bed. The Vrelian's large body curled protectively close. Something in Junho's chest tightened with emotion. This alien, this being from a world he had never seen, cared more about his well-being than the entire council administration. Tavon, he said softly. The Vrelian's eyes opened immediately, alert despite just waking. Thank you for everything. You are welcome, small friend. Tavon stretched, his scales rattling. How do you feel? Weak, but better. The fever is gone. Junho sat up slowly. I owe you my life. You owe me nothing. This is what Pact does. Tavon stood and moved to the hole in the wall. I should return to my habitat before the morning security rounds, but I will be right here if you need me. As Tavon squeezed back through the enlarged opening, Junho called out, Tavon, you said I'm Pack. Does that mean you're my Pack too? The Vrelian's head appeared back through the hole, his eyes bright. Yes, we are Pack now. You and me against this station of cowards? After Tavon left, Junho lay back and stared at the ceiling. Something had changed during those fevered days. What started as simple gratitude had become something deeper. Brotherhood. The kind of bond that transcended species and circumstance. A message came through his communication panel, the first in weeks. It was from Hyon, the human liaison. Junho, are you okay? Security reports detected unusual activity in your habitat. Also, there are rumors spreading about you and a Vrelian. Please respond. Junho smiled and typed back. I'm fine. Better than fine. I have a friend. 3 days later, strange things began happening on the station. Junho noticed it first. The lights flickered occasionally. His habitat temperature fluctuated randomly. Small things easily dismissed as normal station maintenance, but Tavon noticed too. Systems are failing, he said through the wall one evening. Minor failures, nothing critical yet. But the pattern concerns me. I have seen this before. Seen what? Junho asked. Sabotage. Tavon's voice was grim. Someone is damaging station systems deliberately. Small damages that will add up over time. Why would anyone sabotage the station? Many reasons. Politics, revenge, ideology. Tavon paused. There are factions in the council who oppose integration of new species, especially predator species. They see you humans as a threat to their peaceful society. Junho felt ice in his stomach. You think someone is targeting humans? Maybe. Or maybe they plan to blame whatever disaster they are creating on the dangerous death worlder they conveniently have trapped on the station. Tavon's claws scraped against metal. I am going to investigate, but I need you to promise me something. What? If something bad happens, if there is an emergency, you break out of this habitat and run. Do not wait for clearance. Do not follow protocol. You survive first, ask forgiveness later. Tavon, you're scaring me. Good, fear keeps you alert. But do not let it paralyze you. You are human. Your species survived everything your death world threw at you. You will survive this too. That night, Junho could not sleep. He lay in bed listening to every sound, wondering what tomorrow would bring. Through the wall, he heard Tavon moving around, probably unable to sleep as well. Tavon? He called softly. Yes? Whatever happens, we face it together, right? Together, the Vrelian confirmed. Pack does not abandon Pack. Junho closed his eyes and tried to rest. Storm clouds were gathering around them, he could feel it. But he was not alone anymore. He had a friend, a Pack brother, someone who would stand with him no matter what came. That would have to be enough. The alarm woke Junho from deep sleep, a harsh blaring sound that made his teeth ache, accompanied by flashing red lights. His habitat door sealed with a heavy clunk as emergency protocols activated. Through the wall, he heard Tavon roaring something in his native language. Tavon! What's happening? Hull breach in Section 4, the Vrelian shouted back. Life support is failing. The station is going into lockdown. Junho jumped out of bed and ran to his door, sealed tight. He checked the control panel. red lights across the board. His habitat had become a tomb, safe from the breach but unable to leave. On his console screen, emergency messages scrolled past. All personnel to emergency shelters. Remain in current location. Do not attempt to move through the station. A massive crash came from the wall. Taven was breaking through, making the hole large enough for both of them. We have to go, the Vrelian said, his head appearing through the enlarged opening. Crew members are trapped in the damaged sections. The shelters are too far for some of them. The lockdown will kill people if we follow it blindly. Tavon's eyes burned with determination. Your people have a saying, yes? About asking forgiveness instead of permission? Junio thought about the trapped crew members, prey species who lacked the strength or predatory problem-solving to escape damaged sections on their own. He thought about how the council had left him to starve, how they valued protocol over life. Then he thought about what kind of person he wanted to be. Let's go save some lives, they broke out together. Taven tore through Junho's door like it was paper, his Vrelian strength making short work of the lock. The corridor outside was chaos. Emergency lighting cast everything in red. Smoke drifted from ventilation shafts. In the distance, alarms wailed. Follow me, Taven said. Stay close, they ran through the corridors. Taven's security clearance opened most doors, and his claws opened the rest. They passed empty sections, abandoned posts, signs of hasty evacuation. The station felt like a dying creature, its metal bones groaning as systems failed. The first trapped crew members were in Section 6. A collapsed bulkhead had sealed off a laboratory where 5 scientists worked. Junio could hear them calling for help through the debris. Tavon assessed the blockage and shook his head. Too heavy even for me. We need leverage. Junho looked around and spotted a cargo loader nearby. Can you operate that? Yes, but Tavon understood. Together they moved the machine into position. While Tavon operated the controls, Junho climbed into the debris and started pulling away smaller pieces, using his smaller size to navigate the wreckage. His hands bled as sharp metal cut his skin, but he ignored the pain. 20 minutes of desperate work and they broke through. 5 prey species scientists emerged, their large herbivore eyes wide with shock at seeing a human and Vrelian working together. One of them, a thin insectoid creature, stared at Junho. You are the Death Worlder. The dangerous one. Yeah, Junho panted. Really dangerous. Now get to the shelters before this whole section collapses. The scientists fled. Taven checked his security pad. More trapped in Section 8 flooded compartment. We need to hurry, they ran. The station shook around them as more systems failed. Junio's human endurance let him keep pace with the larger Vrelian. His body burned with effort, but he pushed through, remembering every marathon he had ever run on Earth. Pain was temporary. Letting people die was forever. Section 8 was worse. Water poured through a cracked hull seal, already waist-deep in the compartment. Through the window, Junho could see crew members clinging to equipment, trying to stay above the rising water. Most were small species, not strong swimmers, even if the water had been calm. The door is sealed, Tavon said, examining the controls. Water pressure from inside. We need to break through fast. Junho looked at the window. Or we go through there. It will flood the corridor. We can hold our breath. Can they? Junho pointed at the drowning crew members. Taven growled agreement. He picked up a piece of debris and slammed it into the window. The transparent material cracked. Another hit and it shattered. Water exploded into the corridor, knocking both of them off their feet. The current was vicious, but Junho fought against it. He grabbed the window frame and pulled himself through. Inside the flooded compartment, chaos reigned. Crew members flailed in the water. Junho swam to the nearest one, a small fuzzy creature that had gone under. He grabbed it and kicked hard, breaking the surface. The creature coughed water and clutched at him desperately. Tavon emerged beside him. 2 more crew members held against his chest. Get them out. I will get the rest. They worked together. Junho made 3 trips into the flooding compartment, his human diving instincts from millions of years of evolution guiding him. Tavon used his strength to carry multiple crew members at once. By the time they pulled the last survivor free, both of them were exhausted. 15 crew members saved. 15 beings who would have drowned without intervention. But there was no time to rest. Taven's security pad showed a critical message. The reactor, he said, his voice hoarse. It is overloading. We have maybe 10 minutes before containment fails. What happens if it fails? The station explodes. Everyone dies. They looked at each other. The rescued crew members were already fleeing toward the shelters. The station's automatic systems would seal those sections, protecting everyone inside from the reactor explosion. Everyone except whoever stayed behind to fix it. I know how to stabilize reactors, Junho said. Took a course in fusion systems at university. Not exactly the same as this alien tech, but close enough. I know the station layout. Can get us there fast. Tavon stood up. We do this together. They ran toward engineering, moving through sections that groaned and buckled around them. Twice they had to detour around collapsed corridors. Once they were nearly killed by an exploding power conduit. But they kept moving, driven by the knowledge that thousands of lives depended on them. Halfway to engineering, they encountered resistance. 3 figures blocked the corridor ahead. Paulicians, the same insectoid species as some of the scientists they had saved. But these 3 wore no uniforms. They carried weapons. The Death Worlder, one of them hissed. You should have stayed locked away. Tavon moved in front of Junho protectively. You did this. The sabotage. You caused the breach. We did what was necessary. The Paulicians' multiple eyes gleamed with fanaticism. The Council grows weak accepting monsters into our civilization. We will show them the danger. The human will be blamed. Everything will be traced back to the Death Worlder they foolishly brought here. You are killing thousands of innocents to make a political point? Junho felt rage building in his chest. Sacrifices for the greater good. A pure galaxy free of predators. Tavon's growl shook the corridor. You want to see a real predator? The fight was brief and brutal. The Paulicians had weapons but no combat training. Tavon was a warrior born. His speed shocked them. His strength overwhelmed them. Within seconds, 2 were unconscious. The third tried to run, but Junho tackled him from behind, using techniques learned in a self-defense class years ago. They left the saboteurs tied up with emergency cables and continued running. The reactor room waited ahead, and with it, their last chance to save the station. Junho could feel time running out like sand through his fingers. Every second brought them closer to catastrophic failure. But he did not stop running. Could not stop. Too many people depended on them now. Pack protects Pack, and right now everyone on this station was Pack. The reactor room was a nightmare of flashing warnings and screaming alarms. Junho burst through the door with Tavon right behind him. The heat hit them like a physical wall. The reactor core glowed an angry red through its containment shield, energy readings climbing into dangerous territory. 4 minutes. Tavon read from the main console. Maybe less. Junho ran to the control panel and tried to make sense of the alien interface. Some symbols matched the universal standards he had learned. Others were completely foreign. He forced himself to breathe slowly, to think clearly despite the fear hammering in his chest. The containment field is collapsing because the cooling system is offline, he said, tracing the readings. If we can restore cooling, the reactor will stabilize. How? Tavon moved beside him, his clawed fingers surprisingly gentle on the controls. The saboteurs damaged the primary cooling lines. We need to reroute through secondary systems. Junho's fingers flew across the controls. Earth technology used different interfaces, but physics was physics across the galaxy. Heat needed to be removed. Energy needed to be contained. The principles were universal even if the execution differed. A message flashed on screen. Secondary cooling required manual activation from inside the maintenance tunnel. The tunnel that currently had radiation levels high enough to kill most species within minutes. I can do it, Tavon said immediately. No. Junho checked the radiation readings and felt cold settle in his stomach. Relians can handle some radiation, but not this much. I have to go. That is suicide. Maybe. But humans have better radiation resistance than most species. We evolved under a sun that constantly bombarded us with radiation. Our cells repair DNA damage better than most. Junho pulled up the maintenance tunnel schematics. I can survive long enough to activate the cooling system. You need to stay here and monitor the reactor. If I collapse, you need to talk me through finishing the job. Tavon grabbed Junho's shoulder, his grip firm but careful not to hurt. There has to be another way. There isn't, and we are out of time. Junho looked into his friend's eyes. Pack protects Pack, right? Right now, 3,000 people on this station are Pack. I am not letting them die. For a long moment, Tavon said nothing. Then he released Junho's shoulder and stepped back. You are the bravest small creature I have ever met. Go. I will guide you through the procedure. Junho grabbed a radiation suit from the emergency locker. It would not protect him completely, but it would help. He sealed the helmet and headed for the maintenance tunnel entrance. The door opened with a hiss, revealing a narrow passage bathed in sickly yellow emergency lighting. He climbed inside. Immediately, his suit's radiation counter began clicking, a sound that grew faster with each step forward. The heat was intense even through the insulation. Sweat poured down his face. 20 meters to the cooling valve. Tavon's voice came through the suit radio. You are doing well. Junho crawled forward. The tunnel was barely wide enough for his shoulders. His breathing echoed inside the helmet. Click, click, click went the radiation counter, faster now. He felt the first hints of radiation sickness, nausea, dizziness. His hands trembled as he pulled himself along. 10 meters. Keep going, small friend. The tunnel seemed to stretch forever. Each meter felt like a kilometer. His vision blurred at the edges. The radiation was cooking him from the inside, damaging cells faster than his body could repair them. But he did not stop. Could not stop. 5 meters. I can see you on the monitor. You are almost there. Junho's hand touched the valve wheel, cold metal against his glove. He grabbed it and pulled. Nothing. It was stuck. Years without maintenance had seized the mechanism. He pulled harder, feeling something tear in his shoulder. Still nothing. It stuck. He gasped into the radio. The reactor will breach in 90 seconds. You need to open that valve. Junho braced his feet against the tunnel wall and pulled with everything he had. Every muscle screamed. His vision went dark around the edges. Somewhere distant he heard alarms screaming. Or maybe that was his own blood pounding in his ears. The valve moved. 1 centimeter, then 2. Then suddenly it spun free and coolant rushed through the pipes with a sound like thunder. The temperature in the tunnel dropped immediately as the cooling system activated. It is working. Tavon's voice held something that might have been relief or joy. Radiation levels dropping. The reactor is stabilizing. You did it, Junho. Hunyo tried to respond, but his body had nothing left. He collapsed in the tunnel. The radiation suit's alarms going crazy. Through fading consciousness, he heard Tavon roaring his name. Then darkness claimed him. He woke in the medical bay 3 days later. The ceiling above him was white and clean. Machines beeped softly nearby. His body felt like one giant bruise, but he was alive. That seemed important. You are awake. Hyun's voice. The human liaison moved into view, her face showing relief. About time. You have been unconscious for 72 hours. Did it work? Junho's voice came out as a croak. The station? Saved. Everyone survived thanks to you and Tavon. Hyun held up a water container with a straw. Drink slowly. The radiation sickness was severe, but your body is healing faster than the doctors expected. Apparently humans really are as tough as the reports claimed. Junho drank gratefully. Tavon? Outside. He has not left the medical bay since they brought you in. The doctors had to threaten him to get him to eat and sleep. Hyun smiled. You made quite an impression on him. He saved me first. I just returned the favor. Over the next hour, Hyun explained what happened after Junho collapsed. Tavon had crawled into the tunnel himself, ignoring the radiation danger, and dragged Junho back to safety. Medical teams stabilized the human, while security forces captured the remaining saboteurs. The evidence was overwhelming. 3 Politian radicals had planned to destroy the station and blame it on the dangerous Deathworlder. The council is in emergency session, Hyun said. The news spread across the entire station within hours. A human and Vrelian saving thousands of lives together. It is causing a lot of people to rethink their views on predator species. Good. Maybe something positive can come from all this. The door opened and Tavon entered, his massive form filling the doorway. When he saw Junho awake, something in his expression softened. Small friend. You live? Takes more than a little radiation to kill a human. Junho tried to sit up and winced. Okay, maybe more than a little. Tavon approached the bed. The doctors say you will recover fully. Your DNA repair systems are impressive. He paused. You should not have risked yourself like that, says the warrior who crawled into a radioactive tunnel to save me. That is different. You are Pac. I protect Pac. Exactly. Junho met Tavon's eyes. Everyone on this station became Pac the moment they were in danger. I protected Pac, just like you taught me. Tavon rumbled something that might have been laughter or approval. You learn quickly for a small creature. Over the following weeks, Junho recovered in the medical bay. The radiation damage healed slowly but steadily. Visitors came constantly, scientists he had saved, crew members who heard about his actions, even some herbivore species who had previously feared him. They brought gifts, words of thanks, and apologies for how he had been treated. The council held a formal inquiry into the sabotage. The Paulician radicals were sentenced to prison. More importantly, the investigation revealed systematic discrimination against predator species throughout council bureaucracy. Junho's case became the evidence that could not be ignored. How they had let him starve. How they had delayed his clearance without cause. How their fear had nearly cost thousands of lives. Mirai, working in administration, had documented everything. Her evidence helped push through emergency reforms. The Predator Rights Act was proposed, guaranteeing equal treatment regardless of species origin. It would take time to implement, but the first steps were being taken. One morning, Junho received official notification. His security clearance was approved. He was free to move throughout the station. The notification came with a formal apology from the council and an offer to lead the new xenobiology research division. That evening, Tavon visited with a surprise. "Come with me," he said. "There is something you should see." They walked through the station together, no longer separated by walls. Crew members nodded to them in the corridors. Some even waved. The fear had not completely disappeared, but it was fading, being replaced by something better. Respect, curiosity, hope. Tavon led him to Section 7C, to their old habitats. The hole in the wall had been preserved, surrounded by a memorial plaque. Junho read the inscription. On this site, two predators became pack. Through courage, sacrifice, and friendship, they showed the galaxy that strength without compassion is meaningless, and that the bonds we choose are stronger than the fears we inherit. May this tunnel remind us that walls built by fear can be broken by those brave enough to reach through them. Junho felt his throat tighten. They made it a monument. The council voted unanimously. Tavon placed a hand on Junho's shoulder. "Your story, our story, it means something now. Every young predator who joins the council will see this and know they are not alone. They will know that courage and friendship matter more than teeth and claws."